So today we are starting a brand new series. Each week of the NordCast, we are going to be doing a redraft of a certain NHL draft. Today we're starting with 2020 and going backwards. So this is going to be posted on the YouTube end of things, obviously on the main podcast as well. So we have it sorted a certain way here where you can see picks 1 to 15. For the video listeners, you can see that we have the original pick and we have the who made the pick on the right side. And for the audio listeners, you can just listen to what we say. So first overall, I'm starting off here. First overall, going to the New York Rangers. The original pick was Alexis Lafreniere. Think you got to go with Tim Stützle. Tim Stützle was third overall in this draft previously, but I think when you're looking in terms of overall scores and all that, Stützle leads the entire draft class in goals. I think you just 100% you got to go with someone like Stützle at first overall in this draft. So I'll go to Carter now, who's joined with me, and he's going to do pick number 2. So Carter, who are you taking at second overall to the LA Kings?
All right. Well, the original pick was Quentin Byfield. I'm not going to stick with that, and I think that the LA Kings are going to select Lucas Raymond, with this pick here.
I like that. I like that. Lucas Raymond, I think, had an incredible second half of the season. He played spectacular. I think he actually is second in scoring overall when it comes to points throughout the entire draft class. So I think you got to go with Raymond at second overall. Third overall, I'm going with another forward here. The original pick was Tim Stützle. Obviously, I can't pick him. I'm going with Seth Jarvis, rising up 10 spots in this draft. Jarvis has been insanely valuable to the Carolina Hurricanes. I think you would be stupid not to go with him at third overall. If you want to argue someone like Jake Sanderson, I could get behind that. But I think you got to go with someone like Seth Jarvis, who is ridiculously valuable at third overall. And imagine if Ottawa got Jarvis. Just imagine. We're going to do a lot of these redrafts over the next couple of years. You're going to see Ottawa in here a lot. And you're going to be like, man, imagine if they got Jarvis and they got someone like Sider. Man, imagine if they got players like that. So you're going to see a lot of teams like that when we do this over the course of the next couple of years or a couple of weeks, not years. Years in. Anywho, Carter, what is your fourth overall pick in this draft? Jesus.
All right. Well, I already took the guy from this position. Detroit Red Wings selected Lucas Raymond. Here they're going to take the original number one overall pick, Alexis Lafreniere. Um, he's still did not have the start that I think a lot of people were expecting, but I still do think that he's still going to be elite. He's still going to be one of the best players in the league.
Awesome. So honestly, I I don't ever think Lafreniere will live up to the hype that he got when he first got into the NHL, but he's definitely progressed better and his development's been slower, but he's still become a solid NHLer at the age that he is. He has 148 points through 298 games. I think that especially this season, we've seen him get a lot better in terms of just overall talent and him improving. So I honestly think that you got to go with Lafreniere at fourth overall. Fifth overall, I think doesn't change. I think I'm going to go with Jake Sanderson at 5 years still. I think Sanderson is the best defenseman from this draft class. I think he's been the most valuable overall to the Ottawa Senators. I think you got to go with him here at this fifth overall pick. He's been a great defensive and offensive defenseman. I think he's been the backbone of the Ottawa Senators defense recently, and he is the future. So I think you got to go with someone like Sanderson at that fifth overall pick. So Carter, who are you taking sixth overall?
Sixth overall, Anaheim Ducks. They originally selected our boy Jamie Drysdale. I think they're gonna go defense here again. I would have them selecting Brock Faber
Ooh,
with this pick
that,
here. I think
that
defense is what they need, and I think he's already solidified himself as one of the better defensemen in the National Hockey League.
I love that pick. You could argue Brock Faber goes 5. You could argue Brock Faber goes fifth overall in this draft.
You could
Um,
argue that he's the D1 in this draft, but
yeah. Faber has only played one season though, but it was a great season. He was incredibly valuable to the Minnesota Wild's defense. I think if Anaheim got him, we could be talking a different situation right now instead of getting a guy like Drysdale. So I like Brock Faber there at that sixth overall pick. I like that a lot. Seventh overall here is the Devils. They originally selected Alexander Holtz. What's funny is that I'm actually going to go with someone here who coincidentally enough got selected by the Devils, but later on in the draft. I'm gonna go Mercer here at 6. I think Mercer had a down season, or at 7. I think Mercer had a down season with the Devils this past year, but I still think he can be that solid, legitimate top 6 forward for this Devils team. I think you got to go with him at 7th here. I like Mercer a lot, and I think it makes the most sense. And he's one of the better offensive players overall in this draft when you're looking in terms of um the New Jersey Devils. So yeah, Dawson Mercer at 7. Carter, you got 8th. Who you taking?
Well, with the number 8th pick, I think that this would be a dynamic duo for the Buffalo Sabres of Tage Thompson and Quinton Byfield.
Ooh.
I think getting Quinton Byfield at the 8th overall pick is a steal um, for the Buffalo Sabres. We do have a small sample size of him, but I feel like kind of the struggles early on in his career were kind of a question mark, but I think he's kind of solidified those away, and he's proven to be a very good two way player. So I think getting him on this Buffalo team would be very nice.
Yeah, so I'm with you there. I think that honestly, when you're looking in terms of like Byfield, when he started in the NHL, he had some struggles. He struggled to get into the lineup. He struggled to score. This was the first year, though, where we saw him really improve and play well. So I think Byfield, if we do this again next year, I think he will rise up this ranking even more. But this is the first year we've seen Byfield play at that legitimate NHL level. So I think he's definitely warranted at being at 8th. But I think that if we do this again, I think Byfield would 100% be higher, in my opinion. Ninth overall to the Minnesota Wild. I guess I'm up next here. I think I'm gonna go with someone like, hmm, I don't know. There's a lot of good options here that are on the board for me to pick. I'm gonna go with, um, I'm between JJ Paterka and Anton Lindell. I think I'm going to go Anton Lindell. I think Lindell has had, I think, a very underrated career. I think a lot of people look at him and say he's a bust. He hasn't been that great, but in recent years, he's been way better. Good playoff player. Has scored some goals in the playoffs for Florida. I think that offensively the numbers aren't really there, but defensively his numbers are a lot better, and I think that Lindell is warranted for being a top 10 selection there. So I'm taking Lindell over Marco Rossi. Not sure what you think of that, but 10th overall to the Jets. This wasn't planned at all, but Carter, you have your Jets. Who are you taking here? Carter, your mic is
Sorry. You kind of took my guy there. I was gonna go on Lundell. Um, but that is okay. I think with this pick, I'm gonna stick with Cole Perfetti. I think he just hasn't really been given a fair shot to kind of prove himself. So yeah, I think they should stick with Cole Perfetti here.
Yeah, I like that a lot. I think Perfetti has definitely gotten better as the years have gone on. There's been a lot of players in this draft who have kind of had stalled development, like players who have kind of taken a while to get to that point. And you could argue it's COVID. You could argue just some players have struggled. So I think Perfetti at 10th is overall a good pick. 11th overall to the Predators. I'm going to go with. I'm looking at my board here. Almost everyone's taken off. I'm gonna go with John Jason Paterka. I think Paterka has been a solid. He was a good late round pick, for the Buffalo Sabres originally, but going to Nashville here at 11th, I think makes sense. He's been actually very solid at the NHL level, so I think I'm gonna go with Paterka here at 11th overall. I think he's been very impressive and definitely warranted of being a top 15 pick here in a redraft. So I think I got Paterka there at 11. So 12th overall to the Florida Panthers. Carter, who are you taking?
With this pick here, I feel like there's a lot of guys that Anton Lundell is a great pick there for Florida there, but obviously he's already been taken in this draft. I think I'm gonna go with a defenseman here. So I'm gonna take Jamie Drysdale with this pick here. Injury struggles, but I think you take those injuries away. He's one of the better offensive defensemen in this draft.
Yeah, he's a very effective guy. Again, as you said, he's had injuries in his career that have really stalled his development a little bit, but I think Drysdale can still be that legitimate defenseman with the Philadelphia Flyers. Still weird to think that he's a Flyer, but Drysdale, I'd like to see it. I would like to see I would honestly be okay with him being on Florida. I think Florida would be have a really stacked defense with a guy like Jamie Drysdale on the team there. 13th overall is me again. We got the Carolina Hurricanes. They originally took Seth Jarvis. I'm gonna go with Jack Quinn here. I think Quinn has not played a ton in the NHL, but I think that Quinn still is a good pick here at 13th overall. I think he's still warranted of a top 10 of a top 15 selection here. He has 58 points in 104 games played. Not bad numbers there, but I think Quinn, give him a little bit more time, and I think he can fully develop into the player that we imagine to be. So yeah, I'm taking Quinn at 13. And with your final pick, Carter, at 14th overall, who are you taking?
Well, he's fallen. He's gonna fall a little bit here. He's gonna have to wait a little bit to hear his time called on draft night. But um, I think that when you look at the Oilers, what they've struggled with lately, it has come down to goaltending.
I knew you were gonna say that.
And I think that Yaroslav Askarov would fit in nicely with the Edmonton Oilers. I think that that's what they need. Dylan Holloway was not a bad pick, but if you can get a stud goaltender, just imagine how much deeper this cup run could be and would be with a star goaltender rather than a role.
Yeah, I agree. So the time we're recording, when we're recording this video, the Oilers are in the second round against Vancouver. They just started Calvin Pickard in game 4. So obviously Pickard won them the game, but that's not a reliable goaltending option there when you're looking in terms of that. Askarov, however, he has not played a lot of games. He's played 2 games in the national or 3 games in the National Hockey League. So he hasn't played a whole lot, and I think a lot of that is because of Jose Saros. I think Saros, there hasn't been a lot of time for Askarov to play, so he's been down with the Milwaukee Admirals. Again, I think the Oilers make a lot of sense here. I think the Oilers need a goalie. I think Askarov could be a great goalie for them, and I think that's overall a pretty solid pick. So with the final pick here in the 2020 mock draft, I'm looking at my board here, looking at players that I have listed. I'm trying to see if there's any guys that have kind of gone past us that we could bring up here that aren't that big of names. I think I'm gonna go a little bit off the board here. I'm gonna go with Tyson Forster at 15th overall. You could argue that's a little bit too high, but I like Tyson Forster a lot. He had a really good rookie season this past year with the Flyers, 40 points in 85 games played. I think that gives us a little bit of a sneak peek of what Tyson Forster can really be. And I think that he can be an incredible player with the Philadelphia Flyers. And imagine if they got him at 15th overall, Toronto. Imagine what their depth would be like if they got someone like Tyson Forster. Now, obviously, they selected Rodon Amirov. He obviously passed away. Rest in peace. But I'm taking Forster there at 15th overall. So that is our 2020 redraft here. We'd like to thank you all for watching. We've gotten posted a lot of videos like this on the YouTube channel. So if you're watching the YouTube channel and you don't know about the NordCast, we are a podcast that runs on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, all the good stuff. And obviously, we post our episodes on YouTube here too. So if you're interested and you want to watch our episodes, be sure to check that out on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. But regardless, thank you all for watching, and we'll see you guys next one.